welcome back to Dive Twang. I'm Dave. So, got a C minor 7 and F7 progression here. It's a 2-5 progression, okay? You can think about what key that makes this in. The chords are C minor 7, and F7, okay? And they're the 2 and the 5 chord. And you can also do an F9, whatever you want, a dominant chord for that F. And really, this little lesson is about phrasing, I guess, more than anything else. We're not doing any licks that are really complicated, although hopefully they're useful licks that sound good to you. And try this out with your own licks too. I'm just using these three kind of maneuvers here as an example for this kind of practice routine. And here's what I'm talking about. If we just get into the progression, before we use the backing track though, is we're going to play our own chord accompaniment. Now, if you're like me, we're not going to be doing that like, Tommy Emmanuel and, Stanley Jordan, any of that, we're just going to kind of go back and forth between chords and melody, but keep the whole thing rolling, keep the train on the tracks, okay? Here's what I mean by that. Let's slow this down a little bit. So the progression is C minor 7, F dominant 7 or 9. Now if I go okay. Now, those, I don't know if we could really call those licks, but there's a melody there. Okay. And what gives that melody meaning is the chords that are behind it. It gives it a sound. Okay. So we don't have to pick this apart, but if you want to do, if you're watching this channel and other, things on YouTube and other learning, playing with other players, and you're learning about theory, and you're trying to know which notes you're playing rather than just the dots on the diagram. Nothing wrong with playing the dots on the diagram. That's how most of us learn, and there's a real freedom to just kind of not overthinking that. Just kind of working with patterns, but it's also good to know, and it's fun to me to know what you're playing and say, oh wow, okay, yeah, I keep hearing about the 9 and the flat 7, and well, why are those notes better than other notes? Or so, well, those are great questions. What I'm doing on the C minor is just a C, the root, and then that's a B flat. That's the flat 7 in that C minor. And then when I go to the F7, F9 in this case, F dominant, I'm going from the 3rd to the 2nd tone in that mode. We call it the 9. Okay, but they're both the same move. Okay, that's the idea here. Something that you can kind of move around. Doesn't have to always be the same, but there's a theme. Okay, there I just went. Now, this isn't a solo piece that you play this, the way that I'm playing it. And if you want to, that's fine. It's the concept though. So slow it down. Now, you do that a few times around, then you can start embellishing the notes differently. Oh, wait, what happened to the chords? Well, the chords are still playing in our heads, right? Now, people in the kitchen, they didn't hear the chords just then, right? It didn't sound as complete, to somebody else in the other room. But to us it did, because we've already created that the not just the progression, but the musical material that this jam is in our mind, right? And we're playing over that. Okay, so see, we're playing, with that accompaniment that we've memorized. That's a really powerful and important skill. Doesn't have to be something that's really elaborate, but it needs to be nurtured, right? And this is a way that you can do that. And you can take these ideas and apply them to other, improvisations that you're working on. If it's things that you do on this channel a lot, you'll always have that backing track. But try playing the chords, doing a little self accompaniment. And what happens is you're carving out space where your licks, number one, don't just run up and down the scale, because you can't. You got to stop and keep that rhythm going a little bit, right? So that's a benefit. But also, and probably more than anything else, is it just creates a bond between your musical ear and what's being done with your body, your hands. Then you have some fun when you do turn that backing track on. Okay. Now, I'm doing a lot of talking mixed in here or whatever, but there's a song in our head right now, and it's based on these just very few notes played in very simple arrangements, right? But because we've bonded with that and kind of, let it soak in, it's there. So this is kind of, I know some of this gets a little, mushy. For it goes from science over to the, the other realm or whatever. But it's all part of the same thing, and it's hard to teach and talk about sometimes with this, this feeling and internalizing thing in your body. And you hear everybody refer to it all the time, but I also hear people that are really searching for ways to make those connections. And I think this sort of thing could really help you out in that respect. So, get you to the backing track here in a minute, but remember, pause that thing and warm up with your routine. using mostly the pentatonic scale, minor pentatonic. Leave some space in there. Just play those chords every once in a while. All right. Let me know how you do with this. Take your time, be patient, and really leave some space in there and let it steep. All right. Talk to you next time. Thank you.